Hello, my name is Kris, and for many years I've been a fair-weather All-Soulsian. After being raised Catholic with 3 nuns and a priest in my family, I took a long pause from a formal religious practice. For many years, maybe 10 or so, I would attend the occasional Christmas or Palm Sunday service here at All Souls. Yet, no matter how infrequent my attendance was, each time I sat in these pews, I had an overwhelming feeling of being at home. This feeling has grown over the past year as my family and I have faced the uncertainty and fear that comes with having an illness. You see, a little over a year ago, I was in excellent health, a busy 45-year-old mom of 3, a coach for nonprofit leaders, an active community member, when results from an at-home stool test and then a follow-up colonoscopy showed cancer. This led to colon surgery, 6 months of chemotherapy, a hospital stay, 5 rounds of radiation, and now I'm involved in a promising immunotherapy clinical trial out of Marin. To say this experience was a turning point in my life would be a profound understatement. Many times last year, I found myself plunging into the loneliness of my illness, and while I was scared, I also felt buoyed by my family and my kids, my friends, and this All Souls community. To help illustrate just how much this community means to me, I want to share 3 special moments with All Soulsians that have profoundly impacted me and helped shape who I am now and how I move forward from here. The first was meeting Michael Lemaire in the Kaiser Oakland Hospital when he came into my room as a chaplain. In September 2023, I was hospitalized due to a toxic chemotherapy reaction. I had been unable to eat for more than a week, and I was in tremendous pain. I was laying in bed with noises and smells of the hospital all around me, and I remember feeling incredibly scared and alone. Nurses and doctors came in and out of my room asking me what I needed and how I would rate my pain on a scale of 1 to 10. The truth was I didn't know what I needed, and having someone rate their pain in this way is a terrible way to accurately assess the pain they're in. Anyway, a day or so passed when a resident suggested I may want to meet with a palliative care team. I was reluctant at first because I feared this meant I was getting worse, but later that day, a palliative doctor came in and quickly assessed my situation. She listened to me, validated my fears, and helped me reframe my worries, specifically around pain medication. At the end of her visit, she asked me if I'd like to see a chaplain, and I said yes. A short while later, Michael Lemaire appeared like the kind and witty guardian angel that he is, and saw directly into my heart and immediately helped me feel less alone. He reminded me that the Holy Spirit was here, even in this cold, sterile place, and he made me feel truly seen for the first time since my diagnosis. In fact, since I believe we can only begin to heal when we're fully seen, I credit this moment with Michael as the start of my long healing journey. Funny enough, I didn't realize Michael was a member of All Souls until later, but I knew I had met someone special. The second moment I want to share was meeting Emily Boring for coffee with a priest. For the previous several months, I had been attending church in person when I could and on Zoom when I couldn't. Emily's sermons, especially the ones where she shared pieces of her own health journey, felt particularly meaningful, and I began to feel a strong connection to her through the pulpit. So I was extremely touched when she offered to meet in person. During our coffee date, I shared that I had recently completed chemo and found myself in a confusing liminal space. I was not sick, but I was not yet well. I was starting to ask myself some big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I to do next? Through tears and laughs, we talked about how church had become an anchor in my life, something I could count on each week when I felt like there was little else I could count on. I thanked her for her honesty and openness and shared how inspired I was by her truth-telling. I explained that I didn't know where my journey was heading, but I wanted to trust in the process, and sometimes that was hard to do. She listened deeply, smiled sincerely, validated my feelings, and in her very wise beyond earthly years sort of way, gently encouraged me to take it slow, keep listening to my heart, keep turning towards God, and try not to make meaning of my experience too quickly. The last moment to illustrate the importance of this All Souls community happened right here during the weekly Thanksgivings and blessings last February. From the time I was diagnosed, about a year ago, my friends and All Soulsians, who many of you know, Molly and John Guerin, added my name to the weekly prayer list. By February, unbeknownst to many of you, you had all been praying for me for 6 months. So just before my last chemo infusion, I decided to say thank you. I hadn't planned what to say, but I stood up with tears in my eyes. I looked out at this beautiful mosaic of people, listening with your whole bodies and holding me in your hearts. Afterward, and in the weeks to come, dozens of you have introduced yourselves, shared your own experiences with cancer in your lives and in your families, and offered continued prayers. My feeling of being home in this community that had always been there grew even stronger that day. I'm happy to say that I'm doing well. My energy is back, and the trial is rolling along fairly smoothly. I started my healing chapter on the day I met Michael in the hospital, and thanks to guidance from Emily and Phil and many of you, I'm now pursuing a new path toward potentially becoming a chaplain myself. I don't know exactly where I'm headed, and I have no idea what's around the next bend, but today I'm here, standing in a healthy body and with a grateful heart, and there's no place I would rather be.